There's a couple more. Okay. Okay, good morning and welcome everyone to our October 7th, 2025, 9 a.m. Board of County Commissioners briefing meeting. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Waldridge is on Zoom. Commissioner Kearns, Jordan, and CUNY are in the conference room, and Commissioner French will be late. So we'll see him arrive at some point. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. We don't have Preston.
I'm filling in for Preston McCollum today.
Okay.
This is a award from the Washington Association of Prosecuting Attorneys for an appellate position. It's $95,624. It funds half of a senior appellate attorney. 50% of the work is Eastern Washington appellate court litigation that has statewide significance. They also do consulting, mentoring, and then Spokane County gets 50% of their work on our appellate cases, and it requires board approval for the award. We recommend that you approve it. Let us accept the money and keep doing the work, please.
I'm sorry, did you say, is this one we've done before or is this
Yes.
new?
Yep.
It's one we've done before. Yeah. Did say please.
Yes,
Yes, guys.
please say yes.
Hands folded and everything.
We're pleased with money.
Okay, very good, thank you. That's gonna take us to Matt's report.
Good morning, commissioners. Morning. Cheap time, I have not much of a PowerPoint, but a picture really. And this is for a license agreement. And it's for Phillips 66, and it's part of a ongoing spill resolution they have with Ecology, the monitoring requirements that they believe they were done with, but apparently they are not. Ecology's asked them to continue to monitor. Thanks, Ron. The property, as you can see on the overhead, is up north off of Magnesium and Market Street. We actually own the parcel the road fund does, outlined in red. I know we'll surplus that in the not too distant future once we get what we need off the parcel. But the very small box at the bottom of the screen is where the monitoring well is. And it looks to me like possibly even in the right way, it's right on the edge of it. So we're going to do a license agreement for a year. And if we end up surplusing it, we'll probably be changing this to a franchise after we do that. And that'll carry on for as long as the monitoring requirements is imposed on Phillips 66. And happy to answer any questions regarding that. All right. And the next one we have is for Level 3 Telecom of Washington. This is a Time Warner subsidiary. We formerly had franchises with them under Time Warner, and now we're just changing that to a Level 3 Telecom franchise agreement due to their name change primarily. It's a countywide franchise, and it's for all things telecom, installation, construction, maintenance of their facilities within the right of way. Pretty standard franchise agreement. We would recommend approving it. Happy to answer any questions regarding it.
So it's one that's already established and we're just changing it.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of new work, new facilities under this new name, Level 3. We just want to clean everything up and get a franchise that covers the new entity. And thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, I think I would just let, I mean, I'm sure Kyle knows, but just for broadly purposes, just said broadly, so we're to kind of have all these, you know, different entities, and so just I don't know that it doesn't matter. I mean, it's already established and all of that, but just I think the more we can just make sure everybody's aware. So.
Yeah, absolutely. He's on the call, and I'll also mention it to him when I get back.
Okay, sounds great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You just stay. Great. I know Justin's out there. Like, but getting them early doesn't get us to the Mariners game any sooner.
I'll be ready whenever.
It's like, it's coming soon.
Yeah, so Scripps, we can stream on the big screen today.
We should.
Multitasking.
You know, so everyone can see. Thank you.
And we have two PowerPoints. We pull up in the other PowerPoint, the one for the briefing, and then this will be the last one. Thank you. Morning, commissioners.
How are you doing?
Excellent as
Good.
always. How about everyone else? Beautiful fall morning.
I know. It's, you know, this week is kind of the last, I think, of the cool mornings and warm days, and then it's gonna start to just get chillier and chillier. So we go.
All right. So we are coming back before our big briefing in November. We'll give you all of the upcoming contracts. So I'll just tease that. It's going to be quite a long haul. This one's kind of some off-cycle ones, follow up with our Lumen School project that the board approved. We finally were able to do selection for the contract, so we'll be updating on that. And then some housekeeping things with our CJTA, Criminal Justice Treatment Act. We have to do a final report, and the board signs off on that. And we also wanted to give an update on our ISW initiative to wellness. You'll see that the pamphlets we gave you are pretty large. We wanted to have a readable copy instead of having to scroll through the many pages. So with me, I've got my team. We'll be doing some of the updates. Jump on. Lumen School. So this is the project for the parenting and educational attainment through Lumen School. This was a RFP that we completed in the fall. The board approved our selection of Lumen Schools for that project. And then we came up with a new name, HOPE, as part of this, which includes health, opportunity, parenting, and education, which I think speaks well to what the project's attempting to achieve. So we're going to go with this new name, Wellness and Support. It falls in alignment with our other projects like ISW, which is upstream prevention and support to ensure opportunity and educational attainment by addressing some of the key challenges that we experience, that many young individuals experience, especially those that are new parents with mental health and social challenges. So as part of that, we went through the contract there with Lumen. We identified some key areas, including having on-site individuals to provide that. Some of it is already available based on work that they've done in the past. This will provide at least one master's level clinician on site to provide that level of care. Now, we have not required that this individual be licensed at this time. State law doesn't necessarily require licensure for an MHP or mental health professional, but we are working with them to see what does that program look like in the future. This individual will provide a wide range of comprehensive needs, those intangibles that we know individuals go through, challenges with raising and ensuring the care of a newborn or a young child in the midst of trying to complete their education, challenges with family and community and social engagements, it all changes, as well as some of the anxiety and fear around support. What does that future look like? So they'll be providing a wide range of connections and supports, including connections with existing providers like communities and schools and other supports that Lumen either provides or SPS does as part of their partnership with Lumen School. We were able to discuss what that cost would be, and actually the board approved up to 250. We were kind of looking at what would that program entail. 2 clinicians, 1, and the final dollar amount came out to actually 180. So it's a lot less than we actually anticipated. However, I think Lumen School still needs to identify long-term what that cost will actually be, because this is a new sort of program with them. So we're going to start with the contract set at an annualized amount of 180, and then revisit in January 1st for any changes or other costs that may be not realized at this point, especially as they look towards changing state budgets. So Now that this is finalized, the board will be seeing this contract up before them in the coming week or so. I believe it's not next Tuesday, but the following one, I can't remember, but it'll be coming before the board. We'd ask the board approve that, move forward with that contract with Lumen so they can get started with this project. Any questions?
It's just exciting. I think that's a group that can use this and have it there on site. And all of that. Just exciting.
Yeah, what I think is really cool is it reinforces, again, the county's continued assurance to the community that our mental health access are going to where they're absolutely needed, upstream in prevention, and they're being utilized for ensuring that individuals who need help now can be have a safe, healthy, and long, bright future. So I think that's really exciting message to share to the community that's being used effectively in that manner, and actually coming in under budget. So that's always a good thing too. Next slide. I'm gonna turn this over to Ashley, who is our regional alcohol and drug coordinator under the CJTA.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm here to give an update on our criminal justice treatment account biennium report. This is a report that we complete every 2 years for not just Spokane County, but also including Adams County and Pomeroy County, because we administrate the funds for those counties, which is a small portion. And we contract those funds out to 2 entities within Spokane County: Pioneer Human Services for the behavioral health adult felony therapeutic court, including the drug court and the co-occurring tract, as well as the regional health district for OTP and MAT services, and Pioneer Human Services for the Innovative Project, which provides SUD assessment and services to individuals out at Geiger and Spokane Detention Center that are re-entering back into the community to ensure that they can have that SUD assessment while incarcerated and connect them with bed days as they're re-entering the community. But there's not a huge change to our plan. It's set up a little bit different just based on the state guidance of how they want to see those sections and have consistency across the state with all the plans. We did add in a section this year as a new requirement talking about how we coordinate services with tribes and tribal Indian healthcare providers for individuals that are tribal accessing those services under the criminal justice treatment account. But no significant changes other than that. All the funding is allocated out when you guys see those contracts come before you during our normal contract cycle, and well utilized in our community with SRHD as well as Pioneer Human Services.
And this final report comes at a weird time because the board's already approved the funding for CJTA to the providers. So that came in the July 1st contracts. And the report is not a financial directive. Essentially, it guides the overall programs in terms of the intent and scope, but the funding actually provided by the board has already been approved. So we're really just after the fact, because this is when the state actually requires it to be submitted, bring it before the board for final approval. And there's no legislative action needed on this one, just approval here by the majority of the members. Again, we're just reinforcing the funds that have already been allocated by the board. And it has been approved by the CJTA panel, comprised of Superior Court Judge, prosecutor, which now is Preston McCall, formerly Larry Haskell, and then defense Colin Charbonneau, and
Drug court coordinator, Shiva Harshdev, and an SUD professional within the community, Tonya Stern.
and the sheriff's department.
Yes, Under Sheriff Nelson.
They all approved it. So really, it's just the board giving final nod. So do we have 3 nods at least? Let's go for 5. I feel it. I see it. So unanimous. Good to go with this? Excellent.
Thank you.
And we'll be submitting that to the Healthcare Authority. As a reminder as well, the board every year has to opt in to accept these funds. And on behalf of the board, which you approved in the spring, we sent that letter back. You'll see that come back around again. They just require it as part of the state statute that the board continues to accept that they're really receiving. At any given time, the board during that period could reject CJTA funds and it would revert to the state to decide the money. As we all know, it's easier and better for the board to direct the funds as they see fit within the community, which is why we've continued to go that route. Just as a reminder, you'll see that back in spring. Excellent.
Thank you.
Next slide. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to two of my staff here, Josh and Katie, to give you a rundown of this project. ISW has been going on now for just over 2 years, 2.5 with school years as we kind of fall along that. So really, we're in the midst of an existing school year for this next year, and it has really got to a point where everyone wants this program. So it's got very popular and very challenging for us to remind the community that there are limited resources. So I want to give that preface as I turn it over to Josh and Katie.
Wonderful. Well, good morning, everyone. Just want to begin by saying thank you for the commissioners. First off, being able to present today, it's a privilege to be able to do that. And just thank you for not only just the allocation of the funds for the program, but your ongoing advocacy and support allows Katie and I to be a part of this process, which is wonderful. It's an amazing program, so we're thankful for it. My name is Josh Henderson. I'm our Youth and Adolescent Program Administrator at the Community Services Department. So I get to work on a variety of our youth-based programs. ISW is definitely very near and dear to Katie and I's heart, so we're thankful to be a part of that. The 2024, and we can go to, I think, the next slide here.
It's a separate presentation.
Yeah,
Oh, is it? Okay.
yeah. Sorry, Ron, it's the other one.
While we're pulling that up, morning, everyone. I'm Katie Rice. I'm the Adult Programs Administrator with the Community Services Department. And I just want to know Josh's appreciation for your continued support. We're excited to share how this program continues to grow and make a real difference in the lives of the students across our county.
Wonderful. We'll go to slide 2 here. Great. The 2024-2025 school year was incredibly successful for the continuation and expansion of ISW. Evidence in the number of students screened and treatment services provided, both increasing substantially. For slide 4, Katie will showcase these numbers in more detail later on, but also specific to target measures set prior to the commencing of the school year. Target goals of screening more than 1,000 students across participating schools and reducing staffing barriers were significant achievements reflective of the program's success. As a reminder, in 2023-2024, both West Valley High School and Cincinnati Middle School had significant clinician staffing challenges there, but their continued advocacy for the program, so their ongoing partnership, and then with Spokane Public Schools, the contracted provider at that location, or both locations, have been amazing in overcoming those challenges. So this last year, we had clinicians at both locations throughout the year, which greatly increased the number of students screened and treatment services provided. So that was amazing to see, and everyone's partnership throughout those challenges has been ongoing. Very thankful for that. And then additionally, refinement of implementation processes contributed to a more flexible response to student needs, helping to expand the program in unique ways. And so psychoeducation and student support groups are ways in which, as ISW has been at each location for more than 1 year, staff are more comfortable implementing the program, and so on their own have expanded it in unique ways. So offering support groups to students who aren't necessarily enrolled with ISW, but is open to all students. So Katie will share kind of what the names of some of those are later on, but just sort of encouraging to was not a part of the program, but as it is being implemented and processes are improved, we're seeing it expand in natural ways unique to each location. And also critical to highlight the qualitative data of ISW, seen in numerous anecdotes from school administrators, teachers, and clinicians alike. The ability of ISW to identify previously unreported behavioral health needs of students was a consistent theme. So Katie and I, numerous times at meetings with whether that be principals, teachers, clinicians, hearing of the program's impact of providing that early identification and upstream intervention. So students who were otherwise not on the school's radar was able to be identified through ISW, which is amazing. And then also the peer-to-peer level. And so clinicians are getting referrals from students because they were enrolled in ISW and are telling their friends about it. And so seeing those connections is also a really encouraging trend. And on the bottom of this slide here, you can see all the schools this 2024-2025 school year what ISW was at. And so again, expansion was more focused on existing locations and kind of enhancing services there. But Three Springs High School, which is a project-based learning high school within the Cheney School District, was also added. And due to the educational focus and size, as well as the higher behavioral health needs among the student population, given the support offered, students across grades 9 through 12 were able to be screened, so the entire school for those who wanted to participate, which did accompany a robust treatment response at that location. And we will turn to slide 3. Thank you. This is really talking about key data themes. So screenings rose from 679 to 1,003 this last year. And compare that to the initial year of implementation where there was only 2 schools, there was 284 screenings completed. So to see just the increase year after year has been such an encouraging trend. And then tiered data based upon the needs of students taking the screener showed a slight decrease from the previous year, specific to tier 2 and tier 3 students, levels necessitating student follow-up. And just as a reminder, for students who take the screener, it automatically tiers those results based upon needs and risk factors. Tier 3 students are to be seen by the end of the day, tier 2 within 14 days. And so, given that the population of students screened year over year is new, it's hard to determine kind of the exact impact. But ultimately, what we're seeing is a significant increase in treatment services being offered. And some of the statistics, which we'll talk about, you'll have trends towards wellness, and other ones are kind of going in a different direction. But again, the fact that we're able to provide the ongoing support there is really encouraging. So ultimately, overall data was kind of mixed when we look at from this last year to the previous year. However, given that 84% of students screened were not receiving any behavioral health services, ISW provides ease of access to care and connection to ongoing services. And research shows students are 6 times more likely to receive behavioral health support when offered at school. And so ISW is kind of leading the way in a true marker of success as we're kind of following that model and being able to provide it on location, reducing barriers for families. And then the last 2 bullet points on here is really important to note is overwhelmingly students endorse positive supports located within the schools, at least the way it is asked within the Check Yourself screener. And so that is, is there someone at your school that tells you you do a good job or that believes you'll be a success? And students overwhelmingly endorse yes, that was true. And so again, to partner with schools in that environment, to have clinicians there just really helps to amplify the program. And it is a strength-based and wellness holistic approach. So student goals and supports are utilized by the clinicians in response to really help students achieve those goals and to look not just at a deficit-based model, but really the kind of a whole child perspective. And in particular, one of the questions asked is tries to capture loneliness within school. And so Freeman High School, which we all know that school has gone through significant challenges, immense tragedy in the past. Of the 11th grade students screened this last year, 0 students identified feeling lonely within the school. So to see that is just so encouraging and to be a part of that. So I wanted to make sure that we highlighted that. So I will turn the floor over to Katie and she'll talk a little bit more about some of these numbers in more detail.
Thank you. If we could get the next slide, please. Great. So now that we've looked at the overall numbers and data trends, I'm going to turn to what this actually looks like in practice. So this is the student experience behind these numbers. So this slide includes a breakout of school by school screening numbers. And down below, this is that students actually received this year. So 241 students engaged in treatment and there were more than 1,500 treatment contacts. And the ISW clinicians also delivered over 500 engagement supports and made 117 referrals to community services. So that's including outpatient behavioral health therapy, child protective services when required, and basic needs support such as food and clothing services. And so these numbers represent the hundreds of young people who might otherwise have slipped through the cracks, as Josh had mentioned. And a quick definition for clarity. So engagement captures those flexible short-term supports that help keep students connected. So that can be skill coaching, important handoffs to school staff or community providers. Engagement and outreach here also includes connecting students to either new services or encouraging them to stay committed to the current treatment they may have, whether within the ISW program or with other providers. So you'll see here on the bottom left, there's the GAD-2 or the Generalized Anxiety Disorder Screening, and the PHQ-2, which is the Patient Health Questionnaire, which measures depression. These scores this year are consistent with previous years and closely aligned with the findings from the Spokane County's Health Survey. So altogether, this shows while the percentage of high-risk students remains stable year over year, the number of students receiving meaningful support keeps increasing from 19% last year to 24% this year, which is evidence that access is expanding and sustaining its quality. And so that brings us to how each school has adapted ISW to meet their unique needs. And can we get the next slide, please? So ISW isn't a one size fits all model. Clinicians tailor groups and activities to each campus. These groups include the Tea and Talk Tuesdays, healthy relationships, social skills, and mindfulness groups. So these open groups reduce stigma and invite participation from students who might not otherwise reach out. And so really the impact's clear that in school feedback, which you can see in the report that's on page 2, there's community voices from students, parents, clinicians, school staff. So at Cheney High School, a clinician had called the screening eye-opening and beneficial, saying that it brought forward students who would never have been seen otherwise. Freeman High School leadership shared that ISW helps create a campus where students feel supported and take ownership of their wellness. Three Springs had emphasized that this survey normalizes mental health conversations so that students can safely express needs. And Centennial Middle School said that every screener opens doors to new resources and a new way of thinking about mental health that continues even outside formal sessions. And so really across schools, we're seeing this true culture shift towards wellness, as Josh had mentioned. Students are talking with each other about support and referring their friends, normalizing behavioral health care. It's really just a peer-to-peer movement that continues even outside these sessions. And so really in short, the data and these voices tell the same story. Like more students are being reached, needs are identified earlier, and help is matched faster. And so bottom line with this program is this is your investment at work, improving access, strengthening connection, and building a culture of wellness across our schools. So thank you. Any questions?
You mentioned a slight uptick in youth who feel supported, like 19 to 20 something. Is that from your data or is that from the wider survey that you talked about?
Oh yeah, this is from our data. So the number of students being screened has stayed consistent, but the number of treatment services that kids are receiving, that is that uptake, which really suggests that kids are engaging more, they're seeking out treatment more, they're hanging in there and really like which is a real testament to the ways in which our clinicians are just fostering those connections and more. Just every year we're seeing a better understanding of, from the students of what this program has to offer and, the reputation of the clinicians and how well they're able to coordinate care. So yeah, it's really exciting to be a part of and see this program grow.
To see the numbers and it's just exciting to me. To see this, just come from a seed that you guys all started to see it really blossom. It's pretty amazing and see, as you say, a cultural shift in wellness. Our young people, that's huge because again, that's that upstream efforts that will continue for the rest of our lives. So I think that's the great part of this is they came out of COVID in a sense of feeling isolated to now being feeling like there's hope and opportunity for them. So it's really exciting. Commissioner Walbrook.
Yes, thanks for the report. It's really exciting. Thanks, Katie and Justin and team. The summer engagement piece, that's really key. And I get concerned when these programs kind of drop off, in the summer. So I'm happy to hear that there's opportunities for students to stay connected. Does that generally work for every single school that you're working with?
Yeah, so with the Spokane Public Schools, not the ESD 101, they actually have services available all summer. So they've continued with groups as well as one-on-one treatment services as needed. And ESD 101 has the ability to in a very efficient way, refer out to outpatient care. So these are for the kids who just, you know, the tendency treatment services that are allowed through this program. They're needing long-term care where they're gonna need support over the summer, then they're referred out and they have that support all summer long until school starts in the fall.
Yeah, the
Is that just an issue around the contracts, the teacher and counselor contracts? Like SPS, I know has a year-round mental health contract with their mental health professionals. Is that why?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, and that's the benefit of this program is we never intended for it to replace the existing resources that the school provides, but to support and supplement. The idea there being that if we can connect them to those existing ones, it is a benefit not only to the school, but we also, I think, more economically look at the sustainability of the program as well. Recognizing that this is more preventative and that bridge gap between other services. So a hard part of this program is those warm handoffs. So connections begin at the time of engagement so that there isn't any drop or loss even as they go into the summer months. And because they're connecting with communities and schools and other programs like sports related activities, they're more able to connect them with those supports that really we find for the vast majority of them provide the necessary coping and management strategies necessary to get through some of the challenging periods they're experiencing.
And with SPS, the unique factor is that normally they only served Medicaid eligible students, but this is all students, right? Can access care now?
Oh, so with Spokane Public Schools is who they contract with for the mental health providing for these different schools. So, so it's not, I don't know how to say it. So it's not all within SPS. It's their staff is going actually out. It's this individual contract with them for the mental health providers, as well as we added new schools. We are contracting, the county's contracting with ESD 101 with their mental health providers. So it's the mental health providers that are providing the services. So that's when they're talking about SPS.
Right. Oh, okay, I see. So the SPS mental health counselors are available during the summer.
Yes.
But not the ESD 101 when they're working with students in all of these districts.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Except for the availability of our program. That remains for ESD 101 for whatever is needed during the summer. Now we're working on making that more available based upon their partnerships with the schools that they're in. But technically speaking, we're paying for those individuals annually or year round. I think that the other thing you touched on was funding. The vast majority of SPS and ESD 101's engagement is and has been with contracts with funders that have been majority Medicaid. However, with partnerships that Spoke County's had with the Philadelphia Foundation to enhance non-Medicaid coverage that now is shifted back to the county through our department, we also fund non-Medicaid services for individuals as well if they want to continue in behavioral health treatment. So we provide the entire comprehensive range of funding available, which is different than any other school behavioral health arrangement like King County has or other partnerships. So really we are on the vanguard of this, ensuring prevention and treatment so there isn't a loss. And there is a certain percentage of students, somewhere near 40% that are commercially insured. And we ensure coverage in that as well, connection with those commercial insurances.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, my concern is that's why this program is so cool and so effective is that it doesn't matter what insurance the student has when you initially screen them. You're just screening and then you're identifying kids that need extra support and it doesn't matter what their insurance is, right? I mean, and that's what's so unique about this program and innovative. So.
And if I could add, I formerly worked in community mental health when I was an adolescent therapist, who was embedded in the schools. And sometimes kids would be referred to me, and as I'm doing their intake or screening, they just wouldn't quite reach the threshold where Medicaid was going to cover their services. They just weren't quite severe enough. They're close, and it's heartbreaking to be like, sorry, come back when you feel worse, you know, because this is the nature of how our insurance works. So rather than waiting for kids to, you know, to worsen, to be more anxious, to be more depressed, we're able to help them right then. So we're helping them in October. We're not waiting until, you know, May when they finally are reaching out for help. So it's just, you know, such a blessing to this program that way.
Well, great job. Thank you.
I like the voices of our community on the handout that we have. It's quotes from students, families, and staff, and there's a lot of really good ones. There's a couple here I thought I just mentioned. The ISW program has helped us identify students who were struggling silently, right? Which is kind of the point of that screening. And then this program has been so helpful. How do we get more of you?
Yes.
So knowing that it's a lot, you want to, you know, do the growth and expansion as we have resources and as it can be sustainable and effective. So is the plan for next year to kind of hold steady at the current scope?
That's a great question. So we've had a handful of schools approach us wanting more or to start. They absolutely love it. And the challenge really is funding availability, right? Mental health sales tax is the primary funder for this right now. And although I do think we'll be able to, for the allocation the board has already approved for 2026 for community services, there will and should be some additional funds available. I would wait till January 1st until we can get a better idea of what that looks like. And also talking with Jeff and Scott on what other needs may be there. So before I project, I do have ideas. I do and would like to add schools. I think the challenge is what schools, every school wants it. And is the availability of the staffing that we currently have meet the needs of the larger schools. And that's really where we're facing is there are larger schools that have more resources that having one clinician just would meet the need of the entire school when you've got 1,200 to 2,000 students. The other thing is we have expanded and we do a robust job, as you can see with data. Part of what I've driven and a lot of our team has driven really has been the mantra of community services to ensure that we have outcome data so we can demonstrate viability as also the economic benefit that the community receives from it. But more importantly, we're striving towards something, we're achieving it, right? That was a huge issue with some of the programs started on the west side. They did not have that and didn't demonstrate outcome data that had benefit. We do. But we have now moved beyond our ability for our current staff to maintain that. So part of this would also be how do we ensure dedicated staff to a program that we currently are having everyone split part-time, including myself, to help run. So that's another consideration we'd need. It's not just the cost of the program, but staffing, administrative. So I will come back in January with a better plan after discussing with Scott and the team. What is our projection? What is the benefit? As of now, because we are in the middle of school year, our plan is to complete this school year with the existing funds. We don't want to disrupt that. So any changes would come in July 1st contract of 2026.
And if I could just briefly add, being mindful of budgetary constraints, not knowing what the future is going to hold. What we've really encouraged all of our clinicians to do is they're cross-training now, they're supporting each other at different schools. There's a second clinician who will come just to help screen kids faster so that the embedded clinician can be serving more kids quickly. And so because of that, we're able to do more without increasing the necessary funding that would otherwise in our previous years with the, you know, the very first year of this pilot. So it's just, yeah, we're just getting better every year.
Yeah, for sure.
And one of my asks for the board too, as we look towards the ledge session, is continuing to put our request for the state to identify that most of the individuals are eligible for Medicaid. Why can't we use Medicaid to provide for this? Because we're doing it on behalf of them and actually preventing much more acute symptomology from occurring that would actually be more costly for the state. So it's identifying that. Now we've got data. What we don't have is what is the cost savings we're occurring for the state, and that's a little bit harder to project, right? You can't say this individual would have had a psychotic break and here's the cost. So we're going to be putting some things together, but we'd ask the board for their support in saying, regardless, there's a cost savings. We don't know to what extent, but the state should step in and provide some support. We've talked about this, Commissioner Cooney, and I brought this up in previous meetings as well.
Yeah, we should add this to our legislative agenda as you determine what that is. So we can just, all be, kind of advocating on behalf of this, because it's like one of the programs that is getting upstream. I mean, and yes, you can identify how much money it's saving, but you can see through the comments and you're starting to see through the data that less people are at that level 3. Just seeing that shows the value of it and that it's working. And that's always the problem when people want to put money downstream, but that's just throwing money at a problem that's already occurred. The more we can get upstream and not have people, have the, reduce anxiety and depression, then they can do better in school. They're not looking to drugs or alcohol to use that. They're not ending up in our criminal justice system. As I look over at Mike, all those things that are so costly, that is spending the money downstream where we're getting upstream, and they don't have to have any of those issues then for the future. And they just get to live a really healthy, joyful life. There's no price that you can put on that, but it's hard to, put the dollar amount or the data to that piece, but we know it's happening by seeing how these numbers are coming out. So
we can definitely tag the amount that we're saving per encounter or episode based on the average cost, and that's just under $1 million for saving the state that would have been billed towards either Medicaid or commercial. Whether or not those would have resulted in greater symptomology that we prevented, that's the issue we get. So again, we'll put forward some numbers. I think it's just under $1 million that we're saving just from the state annually as part of the program.
Yeah. Commissioner Waldron.
Yeah, I was just trying to brainstorm. It's such a unique program that there's probably not examples from around the country of how they might measure that. I mean, we find ways to measure, other impacts on potential downstream health issues, or criminal justice impacts. I don't know. There must be a way to have some sort of formula that you could use, right, Justin?
Yeah, like I said, I can give you a rough number based upon what we're doing and seeing, and we can actually run national data trends on how many of those students would have been impacted as we look towards more severe symptomology, like what's the average. So we can give that. I can conservatively say right now, at minimum, it's just under $1 million to save the state. I think that the fact that at least 20% of these students have indicated that they would have or are seeing individuals or have significant would have resulted in engagement. We could also add additional dollars for what that acute symptomology would have been. So it's about trying to give reasonable data to it. But again, I can conservatively say at least.
I could add to one of the things that we've considered and what we've looked at, running some real basic statistics, looking at things like in-school suspensions, et cetera, all of this external data. Unfortunately, because we only have so many schools and some of our sample sizes are so small, we can't suggest that anything is causal. It's just the power analysis. The numbers are just too small. And what we have yet to do is have a cohort of students where they were screened as freshmen and then they're screened as juniors potentially. We just haven't done that yet, but as our program should be able to grow and we're able to screen the entirety of the school in the coming years, we anticipate that data is going to be reflected, by not just the numbers that we have in ISW, but in all of those additional needs and resources that schools are paying for to support these kids who are having all of the issues, more severity, et cetera.
Yeah, you could look at the school data, like number of crisis incidents, have they gone down, like in these schools overall, things like that.
Excellent. And then one last thing, just to make the board aware, I tried to provide updates on our different sponsorships that we do, especially for programs where we've done it historically, but remembering when and how those started have always been a challenge. So I wanted to put forward to the board that we do expect in this next year, some of the sponsorships through our developmental disabilities will continue, but we've pulled back on any sponsorships that are out of state, recognizing that we're in a budget shortfall and there's reasonable impacts across the state, limited travel, but at the same time, recognize supporting local conferences and partnerships is important, and cutting out other ones where it may not seem reasonable based on the current climate. So some of those continue to be our People First, our TASH, and our Project Search, all focused on ensuring community inclusion and employment awareness for individuals with developmental disabilities and intellectual disabilities, ensuring that they're connected and that community members who are employing them also have an opportunity to come and talk about what other supports they're receiving. The biggest challenges with someone providing employment is, are they getting the other support so I don't have to worry about the individual getting home or being able to work out challenges may experience on site. So those are the ones we're going to continue. You may see those come forward as part of our sponsorships. Again, we don't ever exceed generally the $10,000 limit. These are, again, trying to get individuals to there. So the vast majority is ensuring that there's transport for individuals and families, ensuring that the conferences can go on so that those connections are made, and then also recognizing that sometimes individuals need a little bit of incentive to go. So all of those are how we sponsor those events. Just wanted to call that out. You may or may not see those coming forward. So any concern, please let me know. But for the most part, we've supported most of these locally.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Appreciate all you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
We have before you for your questions today, a development agreement related to a comprehensive plan amendment that dates back almost 10 years. Since CPA 1604. And this is related to a project on Waikiki and 5 Mile Roads on our north side. There are maps in your remand report on page 7. This is a project originally proposed in 2016 by Harley Douglas. It has gone through about every twist and turn that the Growth Management Act could envision for a project, and was most recently found, the county was most recently found in March that we had cured the conditions of the remand from 2019. Generally speaking, this project, the development agreement was a condition of approval for the comprehensive plan amendment for key reasons. One was to limit development to 100 units or 99 units with a single access. The project would have to create a second access at the 100th building permit. Emergency access was allowed onto 5 Mile Road, but not a direct access. And they were curing some STA and some capital facilities deficiencies in the early parts of the agreement, both of which have happened. STA has a fixed route up there, and the capital facilities and nearness arguments have been satisfied by future development. The project is limited to a total of 300 units. We said 99 in the first go around. The development agreement before you has been signed by Mr. Douglas, and barring any changes or concerns would be on your October 14th consent agenda. This was originally approved by the Planning Commission in 2017, and the board, the Planning Commission reaffirmed its approval in June of 24 and board in July of 24. So the comp plan is there pending the ultimate signing of this development agreement. And then this one can be put on the shelf.
Been going on for a long time. But it's met all the criteria now.
Yes. And importantly, that, the argument that was made to the Growth Management Hearings Board at the beginning of, or actually the end of last year, that ruling came out and said, yes, you have met those criteria and the county is now back in compliance with the Growth Management Act. This was the last piece of the entire caseload in the settlement agreement that was found in compliance by the hearings board in March.
Also, some of the terms and conditions that you outlined, were those specifically required by the Growth Management Board decision? I'm just curious, did that decision have specific directives in it as to what should be in the development agreement?
No, the deficiencies were found to be in the SEPA, the original SEPA, that did not fully address the access roads or the capital facilities costs for what was nearby, including pedestrian improvements out on the road. Those were found, that SEPA was appealed. The county withdrew it, created then an MDNS with those new SEPA conditions that address those concerns. That SEPA was not appealed and that went forward. The hearings board ultimately, or the litigation was that it didn't meet the county's comprehensive plan in that it shouldn't have multifamily at this location because it doesn't meet the criteria as stated in the plan. Some of which was nominally true in 2016. For example, STA did not have fixed route service along Waikiki Road at that time, and we'd like to have fixed route service along multifamily projects. It also was not considered near to some of the commercial services that you also want to have part of a multifamily project. Well, in the subsequent 6, 7, 8 years, STA has now put service out there, and other commercial aspects, including Whitworth's expansion, have solved the other issues that were deficient in 2016. But the conditions were not necessarily imposed by the hearings board. They were imposed as a SEPA deficiency that was cured and agreed by the hearings board.
Okay. So if the development agreement's approved, any particular project would still need to have a permit?
Oh, yeah.
Go through all that.
Yeah,
process.
this is still a land action only, just a comprehensive plan amendment. It becomes effective when this development agreement is signed by you. And then they would have to submit all of the requirements for building permits. The applicant did a little bit of that preemptively in terms of a traffic impact study, a resource study that we asked them to be prepared for when we went to the hearings board in case they said, well, you need more study, which FutureWise in fact did try to have that. And we can say, we've already got these studies that the applicant has already jumped through those hoops. Normally, those are not required until there's a building permit submitted. So they went, above and beyond and spent some expense to put those together in anticipation of future development.
You touched on the 99 units versus the 300 units. Can you explain that?
Yes, the site, it's on a hill, kind of surrounded and partially constrained by a Vista transmission line that goes through that. Right now, the only entrance to the site is off Waikiki Road. By fire codes, they can have as many as 99 units on there before they must have a second access for safety purposes. They can have an emergency access onto Waikiki Road, which could be shared with Avista, which has some facilities up there, but Avista was not in favor of that, 6 years ago. If they want to go to their full development capacity of 300, they must have another east-west access in there for safety purposes. They can go to 100 now.
Is that what you're saying?
5 mile, yeah.
Thank you. That is a question you will get, Chris. Sure.
So just to clarify, so if they would need another exit in addition to the Waikiki and the 5 Mile to go beyond.
They have
99.
no access to 5 Mile now. Avista has a service road that comes off of the 5 Mile up to their substation. At the early time of this, they were not interested in sharing that access. If they negotiated that, that would be something they could do. They're allowed to have an emergency access onto 5 Mile Road. They have one legal access from Waikiki Road this time.
Development agreement doesn't speak to that then.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was like a knockdown gate type thing that was up on 5 Mile, right? Wasn't,
I believe so.
Years
It's
ago,
on
I
that-
think.
That steep part of the slope that comes
yeah,
into the
but there'd
site.
be some sort of gate that only
Oh,
fire could.
Fire,
could
they
open.
have some kind they're called Knox boxes where the fire department has a key for that particular facility and they can get in.
And process wise, this development agreement proposal does not specifically go through planning commission.
That's correct. That's correct. The development agreement is a contract between you, the board of commissioners, and the property owner. If on the 14th, you would be holding a public hearing on the development agreement, and then it would be there for your consideration. But it does not,
Public hearing.
yes,
Okay.
but it does not go back to the planning commission.
And you're confident that the development agreement, satisfies all the rulings around compliance with GMA and the comp plan.
I'm confident that when the growth management hearings board signed off on it, that was good enough for us. And for what it's worth, the growth management hearings board decision in March could have been appealed and it was not. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Long tail on this one.
Yes. Thank you, appreciate that. Jeff, you're back in a different role.
So we're gonna talk legislative agenda, but we're thinking of it a little bit differently. This is picking an item to be included with the GSI state legislative agenda, just at a bigger level. Then we'll come back in a week or two to talk about our full agenda. I'm just passing out our 25 agenda to kind of pique your memory on what we have been talking about in this realm in general. On the GSI agenda in 2025, we had 3 items in their state capital budget request. We had the Northeast PDA for the 3011 Wellesley mixed use project. You guys are the one with the daycare piece. We've only been working on it for a couple of years. That one should be easy to keep in there. We had the Plans Ferry, which we actually received the funding on. And then it was listed as a Spokane Airport Spotted Road Safety Realignment at $4.5 million. Of course, we still have the ongoing conversation out there around the Thorpe Road, the second gate to Fairchild. So we could do something around that also. And so the question is, do we want to keep at least a version of those? The Northeast PDA for the Wellesley mixed use project was in at $3.5 million. That also might be a little steep for our budget climate and a supplemental year ask. And the airport Spotted Road Safety Realignment was in at $4.5 million. Mike Burgess and I have talked a little bit, a couple other things that he thought we could consider would be maybe a second ask for a different phase or scope of the stabilization center expansion project. Go back and forth on whether is it better to go for something new versus a second bite at the apple, but that is a project a lot of people are invested in. There's also a movement around the TIF in the Spokane area. Doesn't look like Commissioner French is on this morning.
He's not here yet.
Okay, so like Burgess has talked with him, sounds like Deanna, who's on for the next conversation. Mike Burgess at Deanna might know some on this one too, where there's a movement to narrow the scope of the TIF a little bit for Spokane, and there might be some activity, so that'd be more of a, policy request than a dollar amount request. So those are another one. Scott and I just brainstorming this morning, we threw out there. There's a nexus, so the Spokane Valley Performing Arts Center is currently, by all appearances, stalled. We have about $600,000 of ARP in it that has been used and reimbursed a couple of years ago. They actually used it early enough. We weren't able to move it to general fund. We actually looked into that when we were doing that work end of last year. Should that Performing Arts Center not get further along by the end of 26, we could as a county possibly be on the hook for having to reimburse our investment to the feds. So the nexus there would be supporting a partner to keep us from having to possibly reimburse some funds. So those are thoughts and ideas. What do you guys think?
So this is, so just so I'm clear with what you're asking, it's which of our items do we want to put on the GSI?
Correct.
Sort of regional
Yeah,
community.
so they put together their own.
Yeah.
I forwarded the link around to you last week. It showed this, it's a 4-page, I can make that up. It's got 8 pages of document. Heavily focused on, what they focus on, economic development, housing, homelessness issues.
I would think just from a regional approach, just sort of what that document is, I would think funding for the sobering stabilization center. That's just kind of what I would throw out, just based on what that document is, the other things that are in it. I would think funding for that would make the most sense for what the vehicle is.
Seeing head nods.
Yeah. That has the most community impact.
Definitely regional. And then.
And it's quite frankly uncontroversial. Like, no one's gonna come out and say, no, don't fund that. I mean,
So you wanna, since the commissioners requested it last year from the state and the state approved 3 million for kind of project, do you want to tailor it more to furniture, fixture and equipment inside the facility? So it's somewhat distinguished from last year's request.
Last year's is generic construction.
Yeah. Just an idea to help differentiate it.
sure.
And we know, I think we know right now, well, what we know right now is likely the 3 million that we requested from the federal priorities is likely not going to come, so it could be a good reason as to why we're requesting more support from the state. From there, and maybe tailoring it again to opioids. Of the opioid dollars that they have. I don't know if the last one.
Last one did not come, we framed it under that account, although they funded it just under their normal.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea that we were in line for a federal award. It's obviously held up because they haven't moved forward with budget, and so we're asking for help. I don't know if the state would like the idea of kind of filling in a federal abdication, you might say, but it is a talking point you can use to kind of emphasize why we're asking for more.
If I remember right, we had some had heard that the state was having challenges or whatever in deploying the opioid dollars. So we talked about this last year around, hey, an idea for helping you assist deploying those opioid dollars, you could contribute some to this particular facility. So maybe it's the phrasing of it. I think we tried that last year. I don't know how successful that phrasing was, but maybe another run at it.
So is it just one item for the whole thing, or like one
We can
for
do
capital
more.
and one for transpo?
I think we'd try to keep in the Northeast PDA.
Okay.
And something out around the Spotted Road world. Usually once it's in, it's pretty easy to keep it in until until it's funded or the rule shifts.
What do we have in there?
This would
for
be then
transport?
replacing the,
Can you remind me what's in there for transportation from the county?
Just a second before we go there, Commissioner Waldorf.
Oh, I was just going to say that I like the idea of going back with the stabilization center because I don't know if we ever got a straight answer about those opioid dollars at the state. It seemed like they were all very confused about where those dollars were and how they're being spent. So, yeah, anyway, I like that idea.
Wasn't that? That was every legislator's answer. Well, we're gonna use those opioid dollars to fund this. We're gonna use these. Oh, I mean, I think they spent them probably 10 times over at least, so.
I never heard a clear answer.
their transportation is the SRTC unified list of regional transportation priorities. There's a section on short line railroads. And then diversifying transportation revenues.
This is great checker.
So it is quite,
Get it
they're
here,
actually in the laundry list. It's just
Okay.
paragraph form of.
Cause I was wondering, is that, would we wanna try to put in there the road leading up to the second gate at Fairchild? Or is that, but
If we did, I think we just put that under the capital request and they know it's a transportation.
Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking if we're doing one for capital, one for transpo or something, but if it's not set up that way.
So is everybody feeling good, trying to keep the two in that we have and then replace the Plans Ferry with the stabilization center?
Sure.
The way this works is I will submit them online, then I go and present them to their body and we've never been told no in the past, but I think the voice will reasonable request also. So we'll work towards that. And then the next piece, Tessa will join and Deanna is on the screen. So we've, the bonding conversation. We talked first week of December, then we talked late January, possibly early February. You're all aware of the Shrek. Are they ready? Are they not ready? So the question was posed last week. And I called most of you. It sounds like there's definitely interest and discussion around going back to the timeline that makes the most sense for us. If Shrek can join us, great. If for some reason they're not ready yet, we're more than happy to work with them at that appropriate time and do a second. According to the facts on the ground at that point in time. I did talk with Scott Bauer. He had a conflict this morning, and Deanna yesterday. They both say early December is still doable. However, any extra time that was baked in for challenges, we've used. And so we would need to be very committed to turning everything timely, quickly, which I know give Tessa a big gulp on top of budget stuff, but we can get it done and we will, if that's the way you guys want to go. Looking at the calendar, there's early December, if that is our goal, or we're looking at the last week of January, which should be like the week of the 26th. Seem to be spots that work for people's calendars. Anything to add, Deanna, just on the reality of fast pace in December?
No, thank you. I appreciate it. We can get it done if that's the route that the county would like to go.
So I guess, partly this is coming up because I had a meeting with the Valley and they want to do some more talk with Shrek. For us to get an agreement with Shrek, seems like it's going to take longer. As you and Scott talked earlier, it's like we should be looking at going when we need to go or when we should go. And we're ready to go. We've been ready to go. We've been just waiting for Shrek. Deanna, if I'm correct on cost wise, it's not that much difference in cost because you guys work on a percentage of the bond sale. Is that correct?
Yeah, our fee is based on, it's a flat fee based on the size of the bond issue. And so there are some economies of scale for doing a transaction together. We have one disclosure document, for instance. Depending on the timing of the delay for how long it takes for the arrangement between Shrek and its members and then the county and Shrek to come together, some of those economies might be whittled down, but I don't think it's a significant amount of money. I think you're correct there.
So I'm just getting, because we also have a timeline of, that we need to meet for being able to go back in time and put those costs into our bond. So I'm just, I don't know. I was just getting concerned when I was out talking to the Valley and thinking, maybe it's just time we just get done what we need to get done. And when Shrek's ready, we can go back, sell those bonds for them if that's what they want to do. That's, and I'm just, as we know, with the government shut, interest rates are just going to be, we don't know where they're going to be. So it's, as someone else says, it's like Monte Carlo. A nicer way of saying a crapshoot, but.
There you go.
You're gonna take
think-
that with you? Not gonna go?
I think the most important thing here is moving forward on the schedule that makes sense for you all and not rushing one way or the other. If there's needs to be time, then for the Shrek piece, then let's provide time for the Shrek piece. I think we can do either way, but I think it's to give time to work everything out so everybody and especially of course you all are comfortable with the arrangement, then I think that's the most important piece.
Right. I think so. Commissioner Waldron.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with you. I think we need to move forward on the campus improvements, bonding, and then, circle back when and if the Shrek funding is needed with all the different partners. There's so much going on, all those moving parts with Shrek right now. So I agree.
I agree.
Okay. So I think let's shoot for the first week. If we need to move to the second week of December, and we can even do that one.
Deanna, do you think the second week of December, being the 8th through the 12th, is enough before Christmas? The world hasn't slowed down yet.
I think that's great. I think that's fine.
Okay, so
Make
we'll
it work.
see where we land between those.
Yeah, we can certainly make that work. I think that the key piece is the pricing date. And at that point, all the interest rates are locked in, and after that, it's closing documents, getting things signed up. So as long as people are still around, then we'll make it work.
The other question, as we move forward.
So I think, let's try for the first week of December, and if we need to push it to the second week. Maybe part of it's going to be based on getting the rating agencies and all of that is going to be at this point tight. So anyway, Scott.
And
go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, Commissioner Cooney, do you mean the pricing for the first week of December or the closing for the first week of December? So
Okay.
the pricing is when we would lock in the interest rates and sign the bond purchase agreement. And that is that portion that typically happens back in the Barclays is back in New York.
Right. So it is the pricing. So if we can make it happen the first week of December, great. If we need to push it to the second week of
Perfect.
December, just because I'm concerned on timing of trying to get the rating agencies, because we got to
Yes.
get those, because that's really what would hold us is if we can't get the rating agencies, analysis, because you guys got to meet with them and all of that between now and to me, that's what drives the date.
No, I absolutely agree with you. It's also the one variable that none of us can we
Right.
can't control.
Right, so that's why I'm trying to give a
Yeah.
secondary. If we can't do it that first week, then we could do it that second week. I think we'd still be meeting the same kind of timeline for selling and interest rates and all of that.
Yes.
Still be people working, closing, because the closing documents are just us signing and you guys preparing them and all of that. So I mean, that we can make happen.
Right, that's correct. Closing usually happens about 2 weeks, a week and a half to 2 weeks after pricing. So I think if we priced the first week or the second week of December, we would still be able to have some time before the holidays. So I think that works out just great.
I think it's wise to, given Shrek is the ability for them to provide certainty to the commissioners to provide the full faith and the credit of the county. They're asking their member agencies to do something different than they've done before. And that's why I think from what Commissioner CUNY referenced as to City of Spokane Valley's feedback, that could likely be some feedback from other agencies and could possibly not allow Shrek to meet our timelines. So when Jeff and I, Tessa, Deanna, and Scott Bauer met a week or so ago, we talked about a potential timeline that would say, hey, we'll work on this timeline because it makes sense for the county. And here, at whatever point in time, at this point, Shrek, you would need to have all the documents to us. And if not, there's an off ramp, but the county hasn't lost any time. One of the things that I think is important to hear, and Scott was able to join us today, is what does the interest rate environment look like? We've got, I believe the Fed is signaling, or the markets are expecting another potential interest rate reduction, just not sure when. I'd hate to lose money on the table. I'd hate to leave money on the table for a more favorable interest rate by locking in a date right now. I think it would be important to hear from Scott to say, hey, what is it looking like? When's the Fed meeting again? And have that kind of guide maybe when we go for pricing to the market. I think that'll be really important because a quarter point could be really substantial to us as far as the draw and read.
When I think Sean Keats can,
And Sean too,
Yeah.
for our director, yep. Both of them.
talk about that as well. So
I think the next Fed meeting is October 28, 29. If AI knows what they're talking about.
so
I don't have that
Yeah.
on my calendar, so just be a good thing to hear.
Much know.
Yeah, no, I agree. To be flexible in the dates, to be able to work with that first portion of December and then go into the market at a time when it's that nice sweet spot for the county. What we can do in the meantime is finish up the authorizing resolution. We can make it so it's just for this one project. We could also authorize both projects, but it's entirely, we'll talk about that with the team and decide what the best approach is, just given the circumstances with Shrek. So we can bring a resolution forward and then get moving with the disclosure documents and of course those rating agency discussions, as can get all of those things tidied up and ready to go, then we'll be able to jump into the market when it's a good time based on what Scott and Sean recommend.
great.
You'd also mentioned yesterday in budget conversation and other times looking at a couple other things to possibly add to it. So we're at 35 million for the campus work. That's our bid from Johnson Controls, isn't it?
Our contract,
Contract, yeah.
executed contract.
That is our executed contract. A little more than that.
For it, so we gotta pay for it.
So one thing we thought, as we're also, next week, we'll be bringing some information technology, IT things to you that we decided don't make sense for a bond. Some things that we could shift to a bond to free up cash for IT. With the Monroe Court building like this year and into next year, we're planning on about $3.3 million worth of capital. That's doing some HVAC remodeling, getting the third floor ready for the prosecutors, and other things that need to happen in the Monroe Court building. We need to move some people off the third floor. If we have some other groups that move in, there's discussions with the state on possible some give back. So that would be, 3.3 we could add to it. Commissioner CUNY, you mentioned yesterday, if we're gonna do the golf building. One thing Tessa mentioned, have the golf building, the maintenance shop, work should start in 26, not 27. So that would be something for consideration. If you're interested in that. The other one we came up with, Tessa looking through the CIP list, is the HVAC at Scraps. It's on our list. It's not necessarily on the immediate list, but it was something we need to do. It's penciled in on the 6-year CIP at a $2 million issue. I don't know if you know more to that, Scott.
No, I don't know the level of urgency, and I don't know if there's any robustness around the estimate. It could just be a very much a placeholder right now.
And I think we could, get Deanna set the documents where we could vary the amount. I mean, so we don't have to lock into that amount today. So we could set the document so it's a variable amount that we can choose to go from this amount to a certain amount and then set it as we get closer to the pricing date.
Yeah, what we've done in the past is we've included a not to exceed principal amount, listed out the projects, but not in so much detail that they're assigned a certain dollar amount, for instance, but just listed the breadth of the projects and then authorize a not to exceed principal amount. And so as we get closer to narrowing down the focus of the issue, of the bond issue, then and we get closer to pricing, there's flexibility within the document to limit or whittle down some of those projects, so long as it's in with the not to exceed amount that the board approves.
Deanna, can you remind us what the spend down time frame is under the bond proceeds?
Yeah, 85% within 3 years of issuance needs to be the expectation at the time of closing.
So the maintenance shop could be still done bond under here, even though they weren't planning on doing it until 27.
If they could, start design in 26 and then construct 85% 27, that would be good.
Guys, where is the maintenance shop?
It is the shared one between Liberty Lake and Meadowood Golf Course.
The road that goes between the golf courses, is that Sprague maybe?
I think it's Sprague, yeah.
But it's just on the Liberty Lake Golf Course side of that road.
Okay, thank you.
So just like when he was presenting yesterday, I was just like, some of these, long-term capital assets could go into a bond. And so it's like, would it be more beneficial to do that than take it all at once? So I just wanted to have our budget office kind of analyze some of that to see.
It's a good idea.
And it allows for a longer, rather than an upfront, $4 million right here, whether it's the golf fund or whether it's REIT or a combination of both. It's a longer planning horizon that you can pay for it, as opposed to just boom, your fund balance is all gone with one project.
And with some flexibility on timing, next week we are in the afternoon on Monday going to be discussing capital. We have an hour and a half scheduled for that, so we can kind of have this lens on
like some of those opportunities.
And especially with Monroe Court, that's a long term one too, that
Gotta do something.
we gotta figure it out. It's either coming out of fund balance or we can take a long-term approach to it.
The building now. Gotta.
Yeah, the timing's good. We're working on design as it is with the prosecutor's office, hoping for stuff to happen next year.
And also, that the other thing that I remind people when they bring it, it's like, we're getting revenue off that building too. So we got a ton of tenants up there still that haven't filtered off the rolls yet, so. It's a good deal either way for us, but the day will come where we have a ton of county employees working out of there, so we can be ready for it.
I think that gives us our March notice. We will look at early December.
Sure, sounds good, thank you.
Hey, thanks, Deanna. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Any miscellaneous items?
I'm fine with reading the proclamation. I just wasn't sure, did somebody in particular bring that forward that they wanted to read it? Or am I reading?
This afternoon.
Yeah.
That the disabilities.
Yeah, disability employment awareness.
I read it for, but I'm happy to have you read it.
Okay, I'll do it.
I think it's just always.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was something that Chris, Amber, or Al brought forward that they wanted to.
I planned a second.
Okay.
There's me.
If you read it
Fast
correctly.
enough. If you're fast enough, you get to second.
I know it's gonna depend on what's happening in the Mariners game.
Yeah, I'm sorry, actually, I might let someone else second it.
He'll have one of his AirPods there.
And if we go,
I'll just go present.
so yeah, so thank you. Okay, anything else? No, Pat?
We do have, is it Martha Lou, is it tomorrow? No, 2 days, Thursday.
Thursday.
Winter ops.
Yes.
Winter ops is Thursday.
So
You're
it's
on.
up north, right?
It is, yep. Martha,
District shop one.
yeah, Martha Lou sent out a draft.
It's the north, it's our north
Script,
one.
agenda.
The old route.
Yeah, so I won't be there.
Okay.
Commissioner Waldorf? Oh, no, Pat, sorry, sorry, Pat, you raised your hand.
Yes, just a reminder, we have the proclamation this afternoon that Martha Lou has coordinated. So you'll have that at the 2:00 legislative meeting.
Yes. Thank you. You must have gotten on and off and I were. Yeah.
A question just popped in my head for Mike on the Sims report. Do you have an idea of time frame of when we might get briefed on that?
I sent them a notice and they're gonna look for a couple more dates.
The consultants, okay, all right.
Come make it happen.
Okay, great.
It would be great if that could happen before the next task force meeting, just FYI.
So same as an urgency.
It would be good, because then if we want to share that out with other community groups, we could do that.
Great. Okay. Well, that takes care of our morning session, so we will adjourn for the morning and see everybody back for our